So now your project started, now it's the fun part. You get to do your selection of your finishes. So Gerald, how does that work? Because I think people have this thought that when you meet them first day, they have to know everything about what they want to do. And that's not really true. So if you could explain how that works.
I take time and go through, room by room, the different finishes that would go into the rooms. And if they don't have a general idea what they would like to set for the allowance, and I will make suggestions to them. Do you want to be midstream, a little above average, high end, mid range? So we'll set allowances for tile, for cabinetry, for countertops, flooring, whatever it may be. And then once the project closes, they're out making their selections, we can always go back and revisit those allowances. Many times they find the materials within the budget, but sometimes they decide to upgrade. And if they're going to do upgrades at that point, we ask that they price it out, and then we put it on a change order and get it pre-approved by the lender to make sure the funds are there to pay for it. In many cases, with such a multiple line items of finishes that are going in a home, they typically balance out. In some cases, we have credits on line items. So you don't have to be one that knows it all at the time of the initial consultation, nor do you once the project starts. Your contractor is going to give you a time frame that they need material selections by, and as long as you're working with your contractor, typically everything works out.
And I think an example of what he means, like we had a project where they were going to do carpeting on the second floor, all the bedrooms. And instead, once the project was, going more and they thought about it more, they wanted to do, hardwood, because they just didn't think with the kids, it was going to be messy. That was okay because they had actually underspent on like their painting. So they knew their painting bid was a little bit higher, their flooring was a little bit lower. It's all just mathematical. It's kind of like an accounting. If they're low on one thing, high on one thing, in the end, it all can come together. Whatever you don't use, if there's like an under, like where you get maybe a deal at a tile, outlet store or something, or your carpet store, if you get an underbid, the money that you should have spent goes into the escrow account, so that if you have an overage somewhere else, it can be used. So that's kind of like the accounting of it. And from day one, you're never going to know the exact amount. Like appliance package, he can do a cheap end. We had rental, you were doing a 4-unit, and the client did lower end. They were still great, it looked lovely, but it only cost them, I think it was like $2,900 for the package. I've had people put in $20,000, appliances. So it just, you're gonna kind of, the consultant will know if you're doing like rental or investment, maybe go lower end. If you're doing your forever home, maybe go a little higher end. But everything on the report will balance out in the end, and you have the contingency for cost overruns. If everything gets used up, then the borrower is allowed to pay out of their pocket, but it's up to the contractor at that point to collect the funds. The contractor can't always rely. Once he knows that we're out of funds, it's up to him to make, get the payment from the borrower.
Absolutely, and that's crucial. So our best advice is to try to price out all of your finishes during the permit process while you're waiting on building permits. So when the project starts and your contractor asks for those finishes, you'll know whether you're in budget or over budget.
And I think that's a great point you just made. If you spend those 2 months while he's trying to get permits, you're getting permits, you can get way ahead of the game. So when they start the work, boom, your windows are selected, your flooring, anything else that you need selections on, countertops, cabinetry, all that should be done in those 60 days, so that when he gets the permits, he's not like, hey, where's your selections? That is one thing that holds up a lot of projects. I remember a client was like, we're not done. And then when we did a conference call, the contractor kept saying, I'm waiting on selections. And he had email after email after email. So that didn't go well for the borrower because they were the one actually holding up their project. So great advice there. I really appreciate you explaining on the selection process.
Absolutely.
Remember, I'm here for all your mortgage needs. While I do renovation lending, I also do move-in ready. So if you're unsure whether you want to get a fixer-upper or a move-in ready, I can handle both. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more news, market updates, and opportunities to save money.